This podcast is part of the Gonna Geek Network. The opinions expressed may not represent other podcasts or affiliates of Gonna Geek. Check out more podcasts at GonnaGeek.com and get ready because geekness starts in 3, 2, 1.
You come across a podcast about critically loved movies and the 3 geeks that test them. Your fear heightens as you notice it's October, and what was Arthouse legends becomes something darker, more sinister. You notice adult language and content and carefully guard the ears of the innocent. In the back of your mind, you know that spoilers are ahead and opt to watch the movie before journeying forward. You take one last breath of air before entering
the Arthouse of Horror.
Welcome back to Arthouse of Horror. This is the MovieDude Eric, and I promise I won't eat the camera crew. And along with me are...
This is Kent trying not to be a swearwolf.
This is John Lobster. I've put down the towels and the newspapers, and I am ready to get messy.
And this is Lauren. I never get the faces right.
In this episode, we're discussing What We Do in the Shadows, starring Jermaine Clement, Taika Watiti, Jonathan Brugh, Corey Gonzalez-Macier, Stuart Rutherford, Ben Fransham, Jackie Bleak, and directed by Jermaine Clement and Taika Watiti. Gentlemen, we're doing comedy during a horror
And
month?
lady.
Really?
Gentleman and lady.
Yes, gentlemen and lady. We're doing a horror comedy. No, let me do that over. Gentlemen and lady, we're doing comedy on a horror month?
Well, if you can't laugh in the
yes.
face of death, when are you going to laugh?
The root of all
Yeah.
comedy is pain.
Also that.
Well, I guess you got a point there, but I got to say, though, that ever since this was brought up, I want to say about a year ago.
Right.
Yes,
That,
I've been pushing since last summer.
Yes. This was something that I was kind of curious about simply just because I don't know about you, but I love Flight of the Conchords. I was huge before they even got onto HBO. I watched the HBO show. Second season wasn't as good as the first, but still pretty decent. Yeah. How familiar are you with this crew of New Zealand wonderkind?
Actually, not at all before I saw this movie.
Yeah,
I'd heard of Flight of the Conchords, and there were some people that would just say, yeah, it's the funniest thing ever. Saw this was coming to the local indie place, saw some hype for it, and went, I used to be in that whole vampire LARP thing years ago. Headache sometimes from that. Like, let's see how this could be, and boom, there. So,
Yeah. What about you, Lauren?
I watched Flight of the Conchords. It's still one of my go-to feel-good shows. And so when I heard this was coming out, first of all, the premise was fantastic. So as soon as I heard the premise, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm there. And then I heard who was making it, and then I was like, oh yeah, I'm double there. And now, just real quick, just to drop it, because it's, if not the elephant in y'all's room, it's the elephant in my room.
Oh.
Since I am on a Marvel podcast, Taika Waititi is directing the new Thor movie.
Thor Ragnarok.
Mm-hmm. Which you can definitely see his influence in the little short that was
Team
premiered
Thor.
For Civil War. Yes, what Thor and Bruce Banner were doing during Civil War.
What they were doing in the shadows of Captain America.
Yes, exactly.
And Iron Man.
Yes.
So I really can't wait to see his influence on the Marvel Universe.
Thor, to me, has long been one of the funnier characters and even really the whole concept of Thor and Thor's whole world has been, like, they could play that for so much humor and I don't think he gets quite enough credit for it. But
Well, yeah, he's
No,
the fish out of water. And
Chris Hemsworth is incredibly hilarious.
he really is.
Oh, yeah,
Give him all
absolutely.
the comedy roles.
so I am very excited to see where that goes. I've never seen Flight of the Conchords. I had not seen this film before.
The episode where they try to make what's his face? I always call him Lindier, Brett.
Yeah,
Where they try to make Brett a prostitute is one of my favorites.
that is a good one, actually.
So this was my first go around with these guys. But
I
I'm
will be
pleased.
honest here. I am a bit disappointed that this wasn't a musical of sorts because
Yeah.
I would have given anything for some Concord's music to be.
Maybe that'll be in the TV show.
Who knows? And
Yeah.
yes, this is looking to be a. I'll be honest here. After watching the movie, this felt a lot like a pilot. I could definitely
Yeah.
see something longer term. And I'm not going to say if this is exactly a good thing or a bad thing about the movie, but I will say that I definitely have had that pilot feel watching this particular film. That said, let's go ahead and let's talk about the premise here because, this was a premise that by this point, I don't know about you, but I'm a huge fan of Being Human, both the American and the British version of that show. And when I hear about some vampires being flatmates, I did kind of go straight to Being Human, and
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
you know,
And then they
it-
throw werewolves into the mix, and
well, werewolves and ghosts. And I'll be honest here, this movie has got an uphill battle because I freaking love that show, and so for this has got to be able to kind of get past something that I absolutely love, but. I have to admit that I am kind of curious, although, again, I wish that it was a musical. This would have made such a great musical.
Well,
Just
they
saying.
had that one scene where they were trying to play instruments.
Yes.
And it's
you
just
got the
so
sense that they
bad.
were trying to be a band at one point. Like they were.
Yeah,
They were
like
trying to come.
maybe in the 60s
Sure.
they tried a thing.
Yeah.
But the thing that I kind of loved is they're all from different centuries, and so all of their musical sensibilities are completely different.
Mhm.
You have kind of the very medieval sounds and the vaguely sort of Baroque stylings. It just it doesn't work together, but there it is.
Yeah. But all right. So, but what do you, Lauren? You said that you were absolutely enthused by this particular premise. What about this premise that just lit you up before bringing in the whole Flight of the Conchords shtick?
Okay, so I grew up loving reading about, all sorts of supernatural, paranormal things. And then we got Anne Rice's Vampires, and then we got the Twilight boom. So we were kind of at the saturation point of vampires right around the time this came out.
Mm-hmm.
And so at this point, it was kind of like vampires, what now? But I heard the premise of documentary crew with vampires and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw, I don't know, I forget what it was exactly, but I'm always a fan of absurdist humor and just kind of wacky stuff happening in everyday life, like just the absurdities of normal situations.
Mm-hmm.
And let's face it, vampires are inherently ridiculous
Sure.
when you think about it.
They are absolutely.
Well,
Like I say what you want. There's so much to be said for vampires cross-culturally as an explanation of various, subconscious things, whatever. But when you think about the mythology that we have created behind them, there's so much humor there. Like the whole, vampires live hundreds of years and then they go to a school and date a teenage girl. It's like, that's funny. That's creepy, but it's funny. What kind of idiot vampire goes to high school all the time? And then these vampires, it's like they live all this time. And like y'all said, they're from all these different eras. So, you have an intergenerational household.
Yeah.
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 That's a
It's
good one.
basically a sitcom setup.
It really
is.
is. This is, to me, the thing I kept thinking of was like Christopher Guest. And
Yes,
this is like
absolutely.
a best in show or Spinal Tap, just with vampire housemates, and
No.
You
good. You hit it on the head right there, right off the bat, especially that pre-credits sequence.
The cold open, as I like to think of it.
That felt exactly like Christopher Guest, and that was where I was coming from. After the credits, it started to feel like an episode of The Office a little bit. Where the camera is there, and I'll be honest here, there are times when I was kind of like, they mentioned the camera, but I felt like the camera should be a little bit more involved in the story, or that we should get a little bit more of the personality behind the camera without actually knowing who's behind the camera. Like here you are, you're in a house full of vampires, which at any moment could eat you.
And they're talking about other cameramen. We never see the other cameras. Yeah. Which a lot of times in a documentary you might see in a cross.
Do we have 3 or 4
I thought was
cameramen
kind
here?
of funny because exactly who in their right mind would be this calm in all of this?
Yes.
And that I thought was really, really hilarious.
Well, they had a crucifix on, and the vampires had sworn not to eat them. So I guess they were protected.
We'll get into that because there are a couple of moments where that didn't make a whole lot of sense. But yeah, we'll get
No, it does. It does.
The whole thing's already absurd.
It
so
is absurd, but even
window.
for its own rules.
Sure.
We definitely get to a point where we kind of goes in and out of its
and I
own
also
kind
have
of-
to think that there's kind of like an early 2000s vibe about this whole thing. Like all of the phones and computers they have are a little older, and it just kind of feels like this is in the middle of the reality TV craze, and they're like, well, what if we did the real world but with vampires?
Like I said, this felt like The Office. This felt like
Right, exactly.
reality.
That's how I pitched it to Christine. I was like, it's The Office with vampires. You'll want to watch that, right? And she's like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about our vampires, especially our 4 main vampires, and then we'll get to our supporting characters. But I have to admit, I love this cold open of Viago and doing his halfway lift.
That's always the scariest part.
I love the fact that he can't even get all the way up. He has that like halfway thing, and then he like kind of like he's rising.
We all feel like that in the morning, don't we?
Yeah.
Yep.
It happens.
But I have to say something. Viago and Watiti, Taika Watiti in this character, I love this character.
He's my favorite character in the movie, and that's saying a lot because
he is such a good main protagonist, or I don't want to say he's our lead, right? He's the guy that we're really kind of following the most here. He has so much charm. He kind of has a bit of a Sheldon Cooper element to him with his kind of
what charm? He's a dork.
Exactly.
That's charming. I'm sorry, but he'll lay out the newspaper and the plastic.
He's like this fussy little
they
vampire.
Say he's a dandy.
If vampires were hobbits, he would be a hobbit.
I'm still surprised he wasn't a hobbit. I'm just saying. But Viago, he's compelling. He's got a great backstory. He's got. I love the fact that we actually get to know more about his backstory as we go along. That we find out that something that happened that kind of ruined a good portion of it, or at least with the last 50 years of his life. We thought there was one thing, and then we find out it's something else. I love that. He has so much. He is a great lead. He's someone that we can get behind. That even when he kind of gets a little girlish at times, that he. We can find ourselves liking him even with his flaws.
He's an 18th century dandy.
Right, that's exactly what they say.
But
he's also probably the most sentimental of the vampires.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
He's very not squeamish, but he's sort of the most either approachable or relatable, I guess, as the human viewer. You can kind of relate to him.
He's the most sensible because Viago kind of gives no fucks.
He's the one that's closest to being modern.
I think they'd Deacon. Deacon
No.
is
Oh,
is
yeah,
our
good point,
modern
good
guy.
point.
Deacon's modern.
Vlad's
point, I
our
forgot about
center.
that.
He's the guy that keeps everyone in tow. Viago is the kind of don't give the fuck kind of type. He's kind of the outsider. He's the Raphael of this quadruple. Viago is he allows us to know everything that's going on. He's the one who explains the rules of everything. He's the most interactive with the camera, with trying to kind of invite people into this world. When we get to Deacon, I love how the opening of how we introduce these 4 vampires, it really does set up who these guys are, right? Because when we meet Deacon, he's upside down in the closet, a slob, the kind of that one roomie that never does what he's supposed to do. And I think it's just kind of hilarious how, he's let the dishes pile up for 5 years. He is our modern guy. He's definitely the teenager, shirking responsibility all the time. And then, of course, we have Vlad, who is, like I said, he's our Raphael. I mean, Deacon's our Michelangelo. Vlad is our Raphael, right? Just doing his own thing. And it just happens to be that you're in the same direction as him, great. But if you're not, he's not going to give 2 shits, right?
Well, he's dead and delicious.
Well, that's true. But he's also played by Jermaine Clement, who I gotta say, damn, that man's sexy. And I don't know why he's sexy. He is damn sexy. I can see why he has 4 chicks in that bed. I can see it.
That part was hilarious.
There's some cliff notes or something where those are actually succubi.
Because they disappear, right? Like we see them for a second.
Yeah, they disappear right as soon. Yeah.
He opens the door again, and there's like nothing.
Yeah. It's a portal to another realm to succubi, but as
you do.
But no, I mean, again, he's the cool one.
Actually, it reminds me. Did y'all ever watch Upright Citizens Brigade on Comedy Central?
Yes.
Sometimes, yeah.
Okay, do y'all remember the
hot chicks room? Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, you said we don't need a hot chicks room. Well, you said that about the microwave, and we use that darn thing all the time.
Yeah.
Yes, Vlad is awesome, but he is disconnected. He's got his own thing going on.
Well, he's
the one with the X.
Yes.
He's Vlad the
X.
Poker, which I just love.
Yeah.
Rather than Vlad the Impaler, he's Vlad the Poker.
And then when they were looking at Facebook
he's
on,
like, or you could
you
poke
can poke
them.
them.
Oh,
Get wide.
Yes, but again, that's Jermaine Clement. Let's be honest here. That guy, it just has so much presence. It's even from the first moment I saw him in Flight of the Conchords, the guy's just got charisma. And he doesn't have to do much. And he has this really awesome voice, which he uses to great relish here. He just, the guy just oozes this kind of. You just want to pay attention to him, right? I mean,
he's got charm.
Yes, very charming, very charismatic. Yet at the same time, he doesn't do much. He doesn't have to. It's just like your eye just is attracted to what he's doing, and I think part of it is that he's got the whole the whole
dead but
Daniel
delicious
Day-Lewis
thing
thing going on. Which is interesting because Jermaine Clement he's like trying to go through imitations of every great actor on the face of the planet. I think at one point he did James Mason in one film. he just has this interesting vibe going here, right?
Yep.
And then of course we've got Peter,
My favorite.
right? And Peter's our Nosferatu,
right? And I love that they kind of make connections through the movie to all different types of vampire lore. Whether it's Dracula or Nosferatu or turning Twilight turning into a bat, like kind of everything that goes along, and Vampire Hunters and Blade, and they reference everything, so meta. But I love that Peter is kind of like, when you're a really old vampire, that's what you look like.
Yeah.
And
he's grandpa living in the
right. And
the other room.
Yeah, and
I love the introduction. Like, I gotta wake him up. He's a chicken. Yeah.
The kind of like that immortality still like takes its toll. Like the longer you live as a vampire, you kind of start to lose it a bit. They talk about how Vlad loses it a little bit, but he's only like 800. And I just kind of love that Peter is just there. He's kind of like the grandma in My Big Fat Greek Wedding that, is always in black,
just there.
Doesn't have a lot of lines. But then, you find out is kind of with it.
Well, I mean, like, let's see, he's the one who turned Deacon. He's the one he'll turn Nick later on. He's he has a people are fond of him. He's got this kind of thing that people kind of are attracted to, and the fact that he makes vampires almost rapidly. He's that old pervert, right? He just makes more.
He also saves their lives, I think, by killing the trapping the vampire hunter and immolating himself.
Well, I don't think that was intentionally to self-sacrifice, but yeah, it's...
Well, it's because he left flammables right under the electrical box. Don't do that.
Don't do that.
Yeah, safety first, guys.
Do you see that up there? Yeah. Not a single smoke detector in here. Come on.
Yeah.
I have to admit that was brilliant. Okay, so my favorite scene is the first, or when we get the virgins, right, or the quote unquote virgins. First off, I love it. Starts off with this kind of humor about did you bring us virgins? Oh, they're not virgins. Oh my God, I didn't. She totally looks like a virgin. You're laughing at this point, and then it goes straight up horror.
Then they make another vampire movie reference
I think
to
we drink
Lost
virgin
Boys.
blood because it sounds cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they don't do...
It's
they
kind of like you wouldn't want... you wouldn't want a sandwich that somebody had had sex with.
You could say it's fine.
That you fuck.
Yeah.
Well, I was trying to remember the line.
Yeah, it's just the way that Vlad says "fuck" just is hilarious. That is definitely the better way to put it.
Well, yes.
But again, I love how it starts off with humor, even when when they do the whole Lost Boys thing. That's kind of goofy and weird.
Oh my God!
But they do it without the effects, and they just go with Nick's acting.
Yeah,
which is good. I mean,
Your
it's like,
penis is a snake.
Yeah.
And then of course, and then when they find out that the doors are locked and that you can't get out, and then you have the familiar who's gone, and then it turns to straight up horror. He's being chased.
Well,
I love the
it's a slapstick kind of
yeah,
horror
it's a slapstick.
too.
Yeah.
It's
horror
almost like a Three Stooges routine.
Not really, because at
it's
this
a little
particular
bit
point, it's
Scooby-Doo.
now found footage. I mean, this is the kind of thing that we would have found with like Blair Witch Project.
Right, but
it's a little bit Blair Witch and it's a little bit Scooby-Doo.
Yeah,
because you have
coming
him
out
running
of the
around.
backpack.
You have
the part where he comes out of the backpack.
Yeah.
And
then
my favorite part of the
yes.
movie when he goes into the room and there's the cat with Jermaine Clement's face.
He doesn't get the faces
which
right.
the first time I saw that, I laughed so hard I couldn't breathe. Like I had an attack basically in the middle of the theater, and just still every time I think about it now, it's just the best thing ever. That's my absolute favorite part of the movie.
I love how we do have Vlad's face on the cat, and I love how it was Viago that's coming out of the backpack. That it is kind of creepy though. That's what I kind of like is that it did find that kind of that place between horror and comedy that this movie is definitely trying to go for. I say that the film should have been a little bit more scary at some places, but this is where when we get to this particular scene, I loved it. I loved the use of the lighting, the fact that that you're having this cameraman who's basically chasing this guy, and there's at times when, and this is where I thought it would have been better if Nick, as a human, was like trying to fight off the camera, or kind of asking like, why the hell are you watching me, being chased? Yeah. I mean, this is one of those places where I'm also asking like the camera guy's like, okay, at this point, that you're basically
right. They're
watching.
Oh yeah, this guy's an accessory to murder.
Yeah. And
yeah.
they
it's
already
a snuff film.
They already killed the girl. The
Yeah.
date that they bring over. Or
Oh,
that, Viagra
Yeah.
Well, this is the
10,000.
second girl that the camera catches
Yeah.
murder. I mean,
But
we see the.
Yeah.
It's also the
It's the running gag of always hitting the main vein instead.
Yeah,
of,
Viago can't.
but
bite down
also
properly.
it's the sort of mechanic of the film, or the conceit of the film, that they are filming these vampires, but at the same time they're
It's like a nature documentary almost.
right.
Yeah.
Like you
I
feel
took
for the
it as more kind
gazelle.
of like the '70s American Family, those initial PBS documentaries that came out in the '70s.
Maybe,
and
but
80s.
like I think nature documentary is a good way to put it. Like you feel bad for the gazelle, but you're not about to like step in
But gazelle
between.
gotta get eat.
Yeah, you're not going to
Yeah.
step in between it and the lion.
Yeah, but at the same time, with nature documentaries, they're usually done at a distance, not right up close and personal.
And you're not, and you're also the same as the gazelle.
Yeah. So to me, it's like that's the problem that I have with the comparison to nature documentaries, because if it were like set up where
have
like
you
were
seen
using
Planet Earth? Like you are like right there.
There.
But actually, believe it or not, with the Planet Earth, they don't have the cameraman right up there. They use telephoto lenses. They
Right,
use
exactly.
distance. You don't, because they
But
don't want to
that's
be.
not
They don't
taking
want to
place
be
in a house.
inside the action.
But
Here,
that's not
the
taking
cameraman
place in
is
a
running
house.
along with the vampires. They are
Which
right
I thought
in
was
the
hilarious
It's
because again,
like cops.
this guy is an
middle. Now, cops I
accessory to
could
murder.
definitely see, but again,
it's
we're
like
getting into that
the
realm.
cops chase scenes where like you're like, well, okay, yeah, the cameraman is chasing this guy too. This could be a dangerous situation. This guy could
Or
have
like-
killed somebody, or could have a weapon, or like all of this stuff, but we want to get this shot. So
Yeah, there's like so much reality TV and stuff like that where it's like,
Yeah.
what was it that one, was it Real World or something like that, where a woman got raped and it's like to the camera crew, why didn't you help her?
And quite honest, and I wish that the film would have, and I know that this is being meant as a comedy, but part of me is like, man, if they would have just kind of pursued this, like we're asking, why are the cameramen going with this? Why, if the film would recognize it, and I understand that would kill the vibe,
Well,
it would kill the fun.
they're not eating the cameramen, so that's why you're not being like, oh, hey, wait a second, like. Okay, yeah, that's
but at the same, there's a couple of places where the cameraman like step back. Like with Peter, the first time we see Peter, you see that the cameraman is terrified
Right.
because they stumble backwards. The first time we see Peter, there are places where you definitely get the vibe
I think
of the
it's
cameraman.
the problem of any found footage film, which
But
is like
but I wanted to
whether
have
it's
that.
that
I wanted
or Blair
them
Witch
to,
or Chronicle. It's like
See,
you
I'm
want
fine
at some
with it
point
not
like
being there because, again, there was a certain amount of ridiculous I wanted, and that added
Yeah.
to the ridiculousness.
like the fight when they're outside having the fight. The two Nick and is it Deacon are having the
Deacon, yeah.
are having the fight, and
that was
like, they're
definitely real
they're-
world. That was
Yeah,
so
like
real
they're
world.
turning into bats and flipping around, like all kinds of stuff. But it's like, okay, this is ridiculous, but this is also great comedy.
That it is. And a part of me is just like there was rich territory that part of me just wished like, oh man, I wish that they would have kind of pursued this. There were questions I was asking throughout the film, and I know that maybe I shouldn't be asking these questions with this film, but it's like, especially when it
I
comes to
think
found
this is
footage and
definitely
documentary.
the wrong kind of film to ask
Yeah,
serious
Yeah.
questions.
I know,
to
but the
apply
thing
any
is
type,
that-
any type of logic. Let's be
But
honest
that's
here.
the problem here. It's like there's something really rich in this territory, and it's like we've had so many of these kind of these mockumentaries and these. We were talking about Christopher Guest. I mean, hell, we had this same thing with Spinal Tap, where they did have that question about the documentary and where the documentarian fell upon the subject of the material. At what point are you're supporting really horrible people, and the thing is like here's like, man, this would be a great territory. You're following vampires. They're killing people. You're watching them kill people. You're hoodwinking the police. You have the documentarians that could say, look, they're murdering people. They're not. They are staying completely complicit, and yet the film doesn't ever recognize that. It's not something that is actively participated in. Even when the camera is noticed at a particular point late in the film, it's like at this particular point this should have already been noticed a long time ago.
Well, if you're going to question why they aren't doing stuff, you got to question who's the audience for the documentary.
Well, I honestly, it doesn't. At this particular point, it doesn't matter because the documentarian is going to make a movie whether there's an audience or not. Yeah. Especially when it's vampires. I mean,
Well, I don't want to spoil the post-credits sting on this one, but that kind of answers the question, doesn't it? You're not supposed to remember having seen this movie or anything that happened during the film.
I just think that's just great. That's just great marketing because I forgot the movie. Let's go see.
Let's go see this movie.
Right. Exactly.
And honestly, I think you have three very self-absorbed guys. One trait that they all share is they're all narcissistic and preening and self-obsessed.
I think they say that about all vampires, though.
Well, maybe it's a trait they all share, but the fact that they would either hypnotize or glamour a film crew to follow them around just to record their daily lives for a film or something, that also doesn't stretch the bounds of imagination.
And then even the nicest vampire that we see, still you see his familiar who's like 90 years old and he's hangs up on him on Skype because the conversation got awkward.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
and we see him kill some people.
He just uses familiars anyway. He just
he's the only one that we actually see kill people. I mean, we don't really see Vlad kill people. We don't see Deacon kill anybody.
It's implied Vlad does.
No, it's implied, but we don't see it. Yeah. Again, I think this is. I mean, it's implied. I mean, it's implied that all of them kill people. It's we can't get around that. But the only one that we actually see murder is Viago. With the exception, I guess Peter's it happened off screen. We don't see him kill the
children.
Well, yeah, we see the children kill. But I think that was a great setup, though. It's like, we're going to meet up with a pedophile.
Yeah.
And then we see part of me.
Yeah, it was nice. Honestly, that was a nice "let the right one in" joke.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I actually absolutely love that aspect to it, and they did it right out in the open. I mean, not even hiding it. They just did.
Well, the whole scene where they just go downtown and meet up with other vampires and talk to them for a few.
Hanging out.
That was cool too. It's like, hey guys, what are you doing? Oh well.
Like I said, this was a great setup for a pilot.
The vampire club is empty because everyone knows it's a vampire club, and you don't go to the vampire club.
Well, and all the cool vampires already got into the places.
You come in, you don't go out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
These guys, they're not cool vampires.
Cool vampires, yeah.
I don't know, because once they get into the real club, they are just living it up.
Well, they're only cool once they find Stu.
Yeah.
Well, Stu is awesome.
Stu and Nick.
Stu and Nick.
Yeah.
Stu is pretty cool, as it turns out. Let's talk about the twist of Nick being part of the crew.
I love that you have that whole kind of sibling rivalry element.
Yeah.
It's you have Deacon no longer being the baby of the family.
Right.
Yeah.
But then we get to the point, like, who's the bigger dick, Deacon or Nick?
Yes.
I'm Twilight.
I'm Twilight.
That should have been one of the crimes that he was punished for.
Yeah.
Was
Just saying, I'm Twilight.
to be putting Twilight at such a high level, like that should have been a capital offense.
And the documentary crew gets him talking to the hunter, going,
Yeah.
Hey, I'm a vampire. I'm a vampire hunter. Really? Let's hang out.
Yeah.
And why didn't the other vampires get onto the crew for getting that and not letting them know? It's like, dude, seriously, y'all caught that?
I think the crew are neutral, and they do a good job staying neutral. They're not going to rat the vampires out for murder, but on the other hand, they're not going to play sides.
Yeah.
Well, they're so impartial that they notice that Stu survives the attack and don't tell the vampires that are obviously distraught that Stu's dead. It's like, they caught it on camera, and yet they didn't say a damn thing. Like, seriously?
Well, I think half that documentary crew died at the hands of the werewolves.
I think they were understandably anti-werewolf at that point.
Which,
but they stick around afterwards?
Did the other cameraman also become a werewolf?
I think he got away. The one who we see see filming Stu get input in the ambulance, I think he's unharmed. But the other cameraman got torn up.
Yeah.
So
did he become a werewolf?
No, I think his guts got scattered everywhere.
Yeah.
So.
No. We see guts.
That's why that scene is actually probably the most true terrifying one because there's no defenses for anyone. Everything else, it's on our word, nobody gets harmed. The werewolves change, forget it.
Yeah.
That's it.
The werewolves didn't sign the non-disclosure agreement
and
the non-eating agreement.
They can't control themselves anyway.
Yeah.
So.
And they weren't wearing their stretchy pants.
They didn't count to 10 human again.
Yeah.
But no, it's just the camera. That's the thing I think that kind of bothers me. And again, it's one of those things that bothers me in regards to most of these kind of mockumentary or found footage movies is that the camera is playing such a big part, and yet at the same time, it's like it's off and on whether they're noticed or they're not noticed, and especially like during the attack of with the werewolves, or actually both scenes in regards to the werewolves, it's like they don't really. It's like, do we recognize that they're there? Do we not recognize? Why don't the werewolves recognize the cameraman?
They might be to the point where they kind of forget about them. I mean,
it would be if our main protagonist, yes, because they're there all the time. But when they go into the ball, they're there for like halfway through it, and no one notices. And all of a sudden, it's like, wait, what are these cameras here?
Wait, there's humans here? They have cameras? What? Yeah.
They're all about Stu. Although it would have been great if everyone thought that he was like the most awesome, so they were all fighting for him to be, in their group.
Yeah.
And the best thing about Stu is he's like so completely normal.
Right.
Everyone's like, "Oh, Stu's so awesome," and he's just, this guy.
Hey, he'll hook you up with internet and Skype, and he'll
Yeah. Leave me to do my dark bidding on the internet.
The other thing is they're all such big personalities that Stu does stand out because he doesn't really have one.
Yeah.
I just like to think that his personality is so huge that you couldn't catch it on camera. Let's be honest here. The guy is a silent but charismatic. It's funny because you can definitely see what these guys see in Stu. Stu's, he's kind of not flamboyant, but at the same time, there's just something about him that you just kind of like, yeah, I could see why, Stu would be kind of recognized by these guys.
I just think it's because he's so normal and they're not.
Yeah.
It's kind of a riff
exotic.
on the whole Twilight thing. It's the whole, oh, I'm so normal, nobody could ever. Oh, suddenly the vampire loves me. Except this time it's a middle-aged dude.
He's the Bella Swan of whatever.
No, he makes Bella Swan weep because he doesn't whine, he doesn't mope, he doesn't
really say anything.
He takes claws to the face and he's like, all right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he's the one who gets transformed into a paranormal creature. It's completely turning that. It's taking that trope and running with it.
And he united the werewolves and the vampires.
Exactly.
That's how awesome he is.
If he was a girl, he'd be a Mary Sue.
That's
His name is Stu.
Oh my God!
Is that an underworld reference there?
Oh,
to
no,
have
it's Gary Stu is the male.
Right. But I mean the uniting the vampires and werewolves, or the rivalry that vampires and werewolves have.
Also, Twilight.
That's true. Yeah.
And he's
no
basically
one imprints
playing himself.
themselves on him, so we don't get that weird, awkward shit.
Maybe that'll be in the TV show or the
sequel.
Are they still doing the
I think there's
Werewolves Not Swearwolves?
Yeah, I think it's still on the schedule as Werewolves. WE'.
Yeah.
But like we said before, the director's a little bit busy.
There's also a TV series that will be, I think, kind of
about the cops.
Yeah, about
right?
the cops, but it'll kind of be the cops of this world, which I think is awesome. If anyone remembers X-Cops from the X-Files episode that kind of did the same thing.
Yeah.
I think that is a great setup for a TV show to just have the documentary cops style show in this paranormal world, but have the cops be totally clueless.
Yeah.
Like just like you see them, they're like, well, obviously they were mauled.
Yeah.
They were mauled by this small dog, and we're gonna have to put them down. Unfortunately, it's really tragic.
Actually, I was trying to figure out if that dog really was one of the werewolves. Just in its final form, it becomes this little tiny thing, and then...
Or he was one of their girlfriends.
Have you seen, there's a piece of fan art that I saw on Tumblr once, and it was like, in full moon, somebody turns into like a Pomeranian.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, when you think of Pomeranian, I think of Blade 3.
Exactly.
I just... The best part of that movie was Deadpool in his human form.
Yeah.
I think the
Hannibal King.
American
I'm sorry,
Werewolf.
but that movie should have been called Hannibal King, not Blade. That was all.
Do you think
He
that
did
the
steal the
American
movie.
Werewolf in London, Paris references also with this? Especially, I think the first one, the kind of like makeup and the style that they do for the werewolves that really kind of fits.
That was Rick Baker. That was a nod to Rick Baker. The eyes and in the way that they kind of did this flash thing where they flash would pan back and forth, and you would see the transition through these cuts. Actually very well done, especially for a small budget.
Right. That's what I really enjoyed the use of special effects in this. The Inception hallway fight scene that they do, like stand up on the ceiling and fight me like a man. That was really well done. And
okay, speaking of this kind of macho thing, did anyone else kind of catch this kind of male-female aspect to it? I mean, we have a familiar who...
Well, it's kind of hard not to. Deacon's a complete ass to her. Yeah. And then, she points out, like, if I was a guy, I probably would have been turned a long time ago.
Yeah.
There is kind of it is kind of a guy's club. There aren't a lot of female vampires that you see, and the ones that you do see are, well, the Beast is someone who's kind of vilified. There's the two little girls, and then I think that's pretty much it, right? Until
we have Officer O'Leary.
She's not a vampire though.
Right.
She's not a vampire, but at the same time, though,
she's a female character.
I'm talking about
female
vampires. There aren't that many in the movie, except
like background scenes.
Right, background scenes, and then
we also have the head of the vampire, the Wellington Vampire Association.
Yeah, is she a vampire or a witch?
No, she's a vampire.
Okay.
Because they're the ones that host the...
Yeah, and you could tell in the shot where they show the mirror, and it's...
Yeah.
The scene that also really made me laugh
Ghost Cup.
Yeah. Just like them drawing pictures of each other to like, this is kind of what
I
you
love
look
the
like.
Pac-Man joke. That was hilarious.
Then later on when Stu shows them technology, we could just take a picture? What?
Well, better than drawing.
Yeah.
Technically, that wouldn't work because most cameras have mirrors.
Well, yeah, I was thinking if it's not a SLR, it would work. But if it's an SLR, it won't work.
Yeah, in most cameras have mirrors, so that's what makes it work. Even digital cameras. So it's that's stretching it just a little bit. A webcam would work because it's a lens to digital connection. Yeah. So you would be able to see someone on Skype. But I think most of those cameras probably wouldn't work.
Even the ones during the when they're doing the historical pictures. This is them over time. Like, no.
Yeah, at the same time, I love that there's so much vampire mythology that runs on a technicality.
Yeah.
Like, there's a Robin McKinley book, Sunshine, where it's vampires in space.
Oof.
Oh, man. All right, so I think at this point, I do want to kind of bring up the fact that this particular film does kind of have a bit of a... It definitely does feel like a pilot, and I know that we're having a TV show based on this.
Yeah.
Out of curiosity, is this a show that you would be looking forward to
It's-
specifically? Because
It's kind of like is this a good pilot? Like, is this a good pitch for a series, or is it a series that should just have been a movie? That maybe there's not enough material there to span more than a few hours of content.
Well, you would say the same thing about Reno 911 and a cop series.
Yeah,
in
if they
the
did like a
universe.
Reno
But
911
I've
style set
It-
with
It
this.
seems
Yeah,
like
but I saw Reno 911 the movie, and there was not enough there
Well,
to
yeah.
justify a movie. So I like
They made a Reno 911 movie?
Yep.
so
Reno
I,
911 at Miami Beach.
I
Oh,
think
yeah.
for this, I think for this, I kept, and again, I kept thinking of The Office, and I think specifically the British Office,
Yes,
which
definitely.
worked well as just 12 half-hour episodes, and then
Yeah.
like a 1-hour special.
Yeah, I was going to
that-
say this would be a limited series.
Right, exactly.
12
yeah.
This would
episodes
be
best.
this would be perfect for a BBC style 6 episodes, maybe a couple series, and then out. I don't know if this would hold up to a 22.
Yeah, if you were doing like an American style,
Right, 22
episode
episodes, yeah,
season
yeah.
sitcom.
Oh, God,
no.
No, it wouldn't hold up. You would get kind of too tired of the jokes. And again, even in the film, they reuse a lot of the gags, or they call back a lot of the gags, and I just think that would get a little tiresome as a TV show.
Although I have to admit, though, part of me was for some reason wishing that Lee Pace would just jump in somewhere in this movie. I don't know why, but Lee Pace just.
He was a vampire in Twilight.
Oh, he was.
That's true.
Okay.
That's
Yeah,
true.
in the last movie,
In the
I
last
guess.
movie, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, he
But-
shows up looking like, prettier than everyone else.
as a
I
what?
don't know. It's just like, part of
Yeah.
me is like everything is a little better with Lee Pace in it.
I can't actually argue with that.
I would agree.
Oh, maybe
Oh, man.
they'll throw us a curveball and he'll be a werewolf in that movie.
that would have been awesome.
Yeah.
Or put him in the zombie makeup just because
Yeah.
he's so good looking.
Although I have to say that the alpha and the werewolf,
Uh-huh.
he just looks so familiar. I like.
Did
What?
you-
You didn't
he
look
was-
at the cast list?
He
Yes.
was in the X-Files episode from the the recent revival series, actually in Mulder and Scully versus the Weremonster.
I know. I
Yeah.
saw him
What?
in that, but
So
it's,
yeah, you'll recognize him as that. I think he was in Flight of the Conchords also.
Who, the werewolf?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was. He was their manager.
Yeah.
He's also a voice in Voltron.
Yeah,
Oh, awesome.
that
He's
I didn't
Corin.
know. That I didn't know.
he is.
Yes.
He's been in a lot of stuff. I need to double check.
He's
here.
also on At Midnight a lot.
That's
okay.
true.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
why
yeah.
I see him. Okay, that's why I see
Okay,
him.
I was trying to
It's
think-
been a long time since I've seen.
I was trying to
Midnight,
think
so-
watching this. I was like, okay,
It's on at 10:30 now.
who would
Uh,
show up?
I'm my cable, my cord is cut.
He's in.
would
he's
show
in
up
Flight
well
of the
in
Conchords.
Thor?
Yeah, series, so. Yeah. He's.
I was thinking a lot during this. Who would show up well in Thor?
He would.
And I was thinking that
He
he definitely would. He would be a good fit for it. I could see Vlad showing up in Thor as well. I think he just has the perfect swagger for an Asgardian.
Yeah.
I,
Actually,
don't
I,
know.
I
If
see him.
Jermaine
I see
Clement
him
showed
more
up.
as a frost giant.
I could see half these guys as in the background, just randomly
Yeah.
walking around.
And who was anybody in the short that Taika Watiti
I don't
did for
think
Captain
so,
America?
but there was a definite,
Oh,
vampires
yeah.
and stew vibe.
Yes, that's what I was going to try to get to. Was I felt like that was almost like a good audition tape for the type of melding. Like, how would you do What We Do in the Shadows, but with Marvel?
Yeah.
And that short is so perfect for that. And I hope that we see more of that humor in Thor Ragnarok.
I think that there's
yeah.
one thing that Thor has over the other Marvel films is that it's because it's so silly. They should play up the humor, and that's kind of what it
Agreed.
seems
It's
like.
again, if
surreal.
vampires are ridiculous, alien gods are also
Yes.
ridiculous.
And they
And
they made a Game of Thrones reference in that, so I would love, like they said, like, oh, send him a raven.
Yeah.
Like, I love that, like, if they could do
well,
a little bit
it's
more of that.
Technically, not a Game of Thrones reference. It's a reference to Hugin and Moonin.
Okay,
That's
fair
true.
enough.
That's true.
But it would be neat to see kind of more of that humor in Thor, like make a Lord of the Rings reference or something would be
Now,
kind of fun,
That I
but-
was expecting. I'll be honest here. I was expecting some sort of Lord of the Rings reference or Hobbit reference or something. Maybe it's just because it's set in New Zealand. Which I have to say that if there's one thing I wish that would cross over in this universe, but wouldn't it have been great if we had a Frighteners thing happen with this?
Ghost popping.
Like if Michael J. Fox would have shown up at the at the coterie at the end, you know, that would have been hilarious. You know, like representing all the ghosts that were there.
Now, did anybody get a chance to go? Now, this movie is actually based on a mini project he did back in 2005, and they did a half-hour version of this back then, and it's actually available on YouTube, and everybody looks so much younger. Oh God! And it's if you think this was low budget, that was we're college kids. What can we throw together?
Right.
But you could tell a lot of the jokes were tested in that one, and then years later dusted off for this. So
it's fun.
But it's very much worth hunting down on YouTube and just going, wow, this is. You could tell where he was going, and you could tell that was where he's going with all their future endeavors. So.
And this is the kind of thing where you appreciate that they waited for the budget and the effects to be able to do some of those jokes, because a lot of the humor in the movie is playing off the visuals, and you kind of need the special effects to be able to pull that off, even though I don't think the humor relies on it. But I think it is kind of enriched by those sight gags that you get from the film. My favorite is...
They weren't like really... The thing that I liked is they weren't, really over the top special effects or anything. They were all relatively simple.
Just like the one of the cops going in when the guy's up on the ceiling.
It's
and
like it's
having
flavor.
that kind of like, okay, so he glamours them and says they won't see anything out of the ordinary, and so they go in there and they don't really notice the fact that he's up on the ceiling, or they do, and that's not out of the ordinary to them. Just kind of like things that they see in the job, but they look around and they're like, oh,
they set up the fact that Viago has glamored the cops, but he's not
good at it. He sucks at it.
Yeah.
So they go in and they're like, what? No smoke detectors.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Although I think that joke went a little bit too long. I think that they pushed. They should.
Well, it was when's it going to wear off? And so they go down to the basement and they're like, oh, this guy, you should put a blanket on him or something. He's not going to be feeling too good in the morning.
Yeah, after they've killed him.
At that particular point, I have to admit, I did like the punchline about the whole idea. It's like, should we kill him? It's like, no, let them find all the other safety precautions we need, then we'll kill him. That would have been, that was a great kind of thing. But it's just like, they should have, I think that whole last thing about the lamp or the lantern and the flammables, that was like at that point I stopped laughing. That's like, okay, all right, the joke is worn off at this point. So they should have ended it with the whole, he's gonna be feeling too good when he wakes up, and then have them go upstairs, and then I either have that joke or kind of set it up a bit differently. But on top of that, the other joke that I wish they would have paid off a little bit was the whole that Vlad kind of went off of the blood and started to age.
Yeah.
And then of course he just all of a sudden shows up, pretty boy again.
Well, he got a snack on the way to the ball.
I wish that we'd have gotten something, or maybe like he was snacking on an arm or something as he
walked in.
And maybe
he can't show up to see his axe looking like trash.
Sure. But also maybe that's why Peter looks so bad, is they're just feeding him chickens in the basement.
Yeah.
And he's not getting
it would have been a great
blood.
it would have been a great joke if he had like a can of True Blood walking in.
But now that I say that, that's a really good kind of headcanon for the movie, is that they have to keep Peter locked up in the basement because he just keeps making more vampires. He doesn't actually finish them off, and like they're getting too crowded.
He's a pervert. He just goes and he makes babies.
Yeah, so they have to feed him chickens.
He's the old pervert grandpa.
They have to feed him chickens to keep him going, but then that is why he looks so terrible.
Mm-hmm. to me, that was kind of what I thought it was a bit of, and of course it obviously was going off of the whole Nosferatu thing, but yeah. So we I guess let's kind of talk about the whole how each of these things are, how each of these entities relate to one another, because I find it interesting that the werewolves didn't show up at the coterie.
No.
So I guess they're the real outcast of this group of outcasts.
Yep.
Of course, they are obviously probably getting ready for the full moon with their tracksuits.
Which true.
Well, the werewolves didn't get invited. The zombies got invited. The witches got invited. The vampires got invited, but I don't think that the werewolves were invited to the ball.
They're looked
Well, that's
down
one of those
upon.
things that you see over and over again in supernatural fiction,
Right.
is that the werewolves are like, the lowest on the totem pole.
Right. They're
Honestly,
dirty,
they
they're-
missed a good way of having some jokes about the idea that they're peeing on everything. Like, they don't invite them because they just go around
yeah.
peeing on everything. If they were to set that
Well,
up,
but
that would
we
have been
do
They're
get that
scratching,
joke.
they're shedding.
We
you know,
do
they're
get that
sniffing
joke
each other at the
when
end,
they
yeah.
invite them over at the end, though, and then they're like,
Yeah,
oh,
but it would have been great if they set
kind
that
of a racist
up,
joke.
It's like if they would have set
It
up
doesn't
like
really,
all they do is just
need
pee on
a
everything.
setup because they turn into dogs, and they do make some of those jokes earlier in the film.
But,
I
but
think
no, I mean, like,
by-
set it up like you see them pee on everything, like they walk around and they
Well,
just
the thing
pee
is
on
that
stuff.
they don't
that they
actually,
don't. It's
do
just
they?
a stereotype.
Yeah.
My favorite is when the zombie guys are like, if you went around like that, you wouldn't catch anybody, with your arms kind of
Yeah.
out and all that.
But they make the joke about the fact that it's so hard to catch people, just naturally as a zombie. I mean, even when the point where Stu walks away is like he can't even chase him. He just, it's just like he's too fast.
Shambling along.
So what do we think about the fact that they set up that Stu is attacked by the werewolves? Did we believe he was going to come back? I felt like that was so obvious.
No, it was totally obvious.
The first time I wasn't quite sure, but then
Yeah. I mean, like you said, really this film doesn't kill a lot of people off that have kind of already been established as characters. Nick sticks around, Stu sticks around, and I think that's kind of the fun of the film, that there are victims, but at the same time, like, it's not really anybody that you were invested in. So it's kind of fun that way. I think that the blending of Stu being the werewolf and then kind of helping unite the two sides, because they like Stu as a person. So he, they're like, well, if Stu's a werewolf, but like not all werewolves can be that bad.
Again, it's a complete role reversal of Bella Swan. Bella joins the vampires, so they're like, well, I guess all the vampires can't be bad. Mm-hmm. It is
right.
It is literally just a flip of Twilight there.
I know,
and I think that's hilarious.
I think they did a really good job of setting up Stu as like this guy that everybody likes.
Everybody just inexplicably likes him.
Yep.
Well, why not? I mean, seriously, there's so much.
Why not
all
like
that
Bella Swan
all
in
that blood
case?
in his red
Because
red
Bella
cheeks.
Swan spends all of her time moping. Stu doesn't do that.
Stu doesn't do anything.
No, Stu sets up the internet. He's useful.
We don't.
He's a nice guy. I mean, yeah, he doesn't say a whole lot, but he's got. Yeah, I can't believe I'm actually defending Stu. I mean, Stu.
I like Stu too.
Yeah, I like
I'm
Stu.
just saying.
Fine.
Stu's
No, but-
awesome.
I mean, if Bella was more proactive, if she would have, if she.
How is Stu proactive though?
Okay.
He's
who
not
did
annoying,
he not
so-
influence in this? I mean,
Yeah.
he's basically he influences the vampires.
He
And
doesn't
then he-
set out to influence them.
And then he saved
He's
Vlad's
just
life.
there.
Who sets up the internet for him? Who shows them how to use a camera? Who?
Honestly, it was probably what's his face's
Nick?
suggestion, because he's not going to live in a house without Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Nick.
But
that's his
it
name.
was Stu that was the one that shows them how to do it. You see it in the camera. He's the one who sets up.
Because he's the one with the technical know-how. But
That's
I bet
right.
it wasn't his idea.
And who showed
All right,
Nick?
so
It
if
was
Bella
Stu.
Swan had set up the
Yeah, if
internet
Bella
for the
Swan had given
vampires.
Collins Wi-Fi,
And if
She'd
she
be
had,
okay.
I would have loved her.
Okay, fair enough.
she gave them a baby.
What do we think of the final scene, the showdown with the Beast? Well, I guess not the final scene, but the showdown with the Beast, or I guess maybe even just the reveal of the Beast.
Yeah.
Oh, I knew that
After
was
being-
coming a
after
mile.
being
I
away.
kind
set
of
up.
figured it was something like that the whole time. Like, just with his ego, and like, there's no way there would be another male vampire that he would have a
Of
battle
course
with
not. It's
and
just
not die.
a century's worth of shit talking.
Yeah.
Although
It's
I
pure-
was kind of disappointed by the fact that she's with that pockmarked vampire.
Hey, I'm just saying, Drusilla left Spike for a fungus demon.
Yeah.
Oh God, I can't believe we're
But
doing.
you know what they say about fungus demons?
They got antlers.
I guess
and
so.
they drip.
Is that? I don't know.
That's what
They
they said
cre-
about him on the show.
They
Yeah.
create
Okay.
they create their own penicillin. I don't know.
Yeah, so you're never gonna catch the clap.
Yeah.
Nice. Once you grow shroom, you'll never have room.
Although I don't know, maybe I've just played too much of the best or the Last of Us for when the idea of fungus being
Yeah.
inside you like that. No?
I mean, I've seen some websites.
I know you have.
Okay.
Yes, you
So-
have found things on the internet that no person should ever find.
Pretty
With
much.
Yeah.
with regards to movies that you like to watch this time of year, I tend to gravitate more towards movies like this that have a little humor along with them and that are fun, scary movies. Do you guys think of this more as a fun movie or more as a scary movie?
Oh, definitely fun.
It's fun.
It's definitely a fun movie, although it's like one of my favorite fun type scary movies or my comedy horrors is Tucker and Dale versus Evil, which to me is like the standard when it comes to horror comedy. But yeah, this definitely has its own unique vibe, and it has a very unique New Zealand-ish type of.
Yeah, the humor is almost British and like
Right.
almost American, but it's kind of
It's
kind of like this weird blend of it.
Well, British and Australian.
Yeah.
If you've ever
And
seen
it-
Australian comedies.
and it fits, I think, with that, but it's definitely accessible to an American audience.
And oddly, it has more blood gore than some other horror movies we've been
Right,
watching.
yeah.
So,
Oh
I mean,
yeah,
like,
no. If you
blood just
there's
sprays
some really
everywhere.
good
when you hit the
there's
main
some
when you
really
hit
good
the
New
main
Zealand
vein,
horror comedies
there's-
out
yeah.
there.
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all have seen Black Sheep or Housebound, but they're both New Zealand horror comedies, and they're both fantastic and bloody.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Black Sheep. I can definitely stand behind Black Sheep. That's
If you get the chance, watch Housebound. It's on Netflix. Farmer Maggot from Lord of the Rings is in it. He was the only one in the movie I'd heard of, but it is fantastic.
I Netflix keeps pushing that on me, so at some point I'm gonna have to see it.
I very strongly. It's funny. It was funny to me in that some of the situations were over the top ridiculous. It is definitely more on the creepy side. But yeah, I dug it.
All right, so I have one more question to ask, and then I'll be done. And that is, will this make your rotation of Halloween films to see once a year or perhaps once every 2 years? Does this make that particular standard? And let's start with you, Lauren.
It already has. It's been on HBO in pretty heavy rotation over the past, I don't know, 6 months or so. And every time it's on, I'm like, ooh, and I watch it. And it's one of those ones I'm like, why don't I have this on video? Because I love this movie.
Actually,
And
I
I
did
will
buy
watch it
this-
whenever it's on.
I bought this for this review. It was at $10 at our local big chain. So
Oh.
Yeah,
okay.
there's some. Okay, so every October for the past several years, I've been doing like the thing where you watch a horror movie every day the whole month, and a lot of them, I only watch at Halloween, and then there's some horror movies that I love so much that I will watch any time of year. This
Right.
is one of those movies.
righteous. What about you, Kent?
I intended to buy this movie when it came out. I have not had a chance to buy a copy. I got the DVD from the library, which they have plenty of copies in our system. Let me just say, I'm a little disappointed in this version of the DVD because there's no special features on it. I'm not sure if the Blu-ray has special features.
It does.
Okay. Or if there's another DVD version that has extra stuff to it. But may have to get the Blu-ray then when I get a chance. So, you're gonna have to message me where you got yours for $10 because that's really interesting to me. Or you could say the name. I mean,
Well, it rhymes with guest try.
Oh, okay. I looked for that locally, and I don't think there were any copies locally at there. So
It was a part of their Halloween thing. That's what their Halloween films.
yeah. I tried to get my daughter to watch this afternoon. She's like, I don't really want to. Like, well, I'm sure if she stumbled into it by herself, she'd be like, this is.
When she's in college, her friends are going to encourage her to see this, and she'll laugh at that point. It's not something that that it's going to be cool watching with Dad. It's going to be with friends at a sleepover.
I think as a watch it with other people, it's an every few months thing for me. I've been trying to convince the people I used to LARPing with, the ones that have seen it, swear it's the best movie of all time because they see so many of the people so many characters from the old LARPing days are represented in this movie, period. Mm-hmm. And it's just funny to look at them and go, oh God, we were that bad, weren't we? Yes, you were. And then you have the ones that are like, I don't know, it just doesn't seem right. It's like, you idiot, just take time off and watch this movie. I'm gonna smack you with this movie until you watch it. So, anyway, that's getting...
What about Kent? I'm sorry, what about Lobster? Lobster. Does this make a rotation?
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is a good fit for the type of movies that I like to watch. Like I said, around Halloween times are not the scariest of the scary movie. They are movies that have a little bit of fun, a little bit of camp to them, that can deliver some jump scares, but at the same time are fun and you can rewatch and enjoy. I do want to shout out to the soundtrack on this movie. I know that you said you were disappointed that it wasn't a musical, but I found the instrumental music and the song choice to be very, very good with this. There was one instrumental track that I'm not sure, but I think it was supposed to be a cover of The Sound of Silence. Did you guys pick up on that?
I did.
I think so, yeah.
That.
I can't find it on the soundtrack listing who did that, but
it's Plan 9 is the music people.
Okay, so that was really, really good, and it fit really well with the vibe of the movie and the scene. But yeah, I really like the soundtrack for this one. I'm gonna try to track it down.
All right. So is there anything else that we want to bring up before we talk Geek Sheet?
Oh, there's all sorts of interesting trivia. We kept mentioning various Hobbit things throughout the movie. Where they have the run-in with the werewolves, that's actually the hill where Frodo and the hobbits are hiding from the Black Riders.
Yeah.
That's Weathertop?
No.
It's the part where...
Oh, okay, yeah.
Where they're hiding under that tree root.
After Farmer Maggot's field?
Yes. Speaking of Farmer Maggot.
Nice.
Yeah. They shot 120 hours of footage.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you have the thing about the corpse?
Oh, no. What's the corpse?
Okay, well, I'm pretty sure it was this movie where they had... there was a scene, I think it was... They had filmed a scene where they were disposing of Peter's body. And they were just going to throw it in the river or something like that. And it floated away and they couldn't get it back. So they had to let the police know, look, if you find a body, it's not an actual person or something like that.
And apparently the original script was 150 pages. And then they just highlighted key points and then told all the actors, ad-lib. Just ad-lib. We're going to do this and you're going to ad-lib.
Well, I mean, this is coming from the same people who did Flight of the Conchords, where there was a lot of ad-libbing in that show as well.
All improv, so... yeah.
All right, so Geek Sheet, anything that we haven't brought up just yet?
Oh.
I mean, obviously we've done the major ones, but... yeah, I don't know.
Are there any other references that we missed? I know when he was cosplaying as Blade...
well, no, I mean, he does two cosplays. Sister Act.
She's Whoopi Goldberg, yeah.
which basically is just him as a nun.
And I also enjoy that they're both black characters that he dresses up as, but then that's never really referenced.
Yeah. Cultural appropriation.
Okay, so another one that I loved, and I wish that they had made a callback to this one, but Nazi vampires.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just right at the top.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, if you were a Nazi, woo. If you were a vampire, woo.
Woo.
If you were a Nazi vampire, get out. Just forget about it.
Did you know the Nazis lost? I wasn't sure if you knew about that.
You know Germany lost, right?
Yeah, I thought it was. I thought it would have been funny if you had made a reference about going to Argentina for a little bit before.
For New Zealand, so.
Yeah.
I love how, this sweet little love story kind of going through it with Viago and his former love, who is now like in her 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he turns her and the whole Robin the Cradle thing I thought was hilarious. That turn. It's like someone talks about the age and it's like, I'm 300 years old.
He blows up the picture of her on the printer and then goes through his
that
coffin.
Part was so sweet.
That part was so sweet. When he gets into the coffin and then you hear the banging, that's sweet.
Oh, okay. Up until then, it was sweet, but because of the then it became funny.
Yeah.
But no, because of the whole, it was in a silver.
Yeah.
The silver locket.
Was.
He's like, oh, that's as long as he.
So afterwards, he's running the copy, and I'm like, oh, that's so sweet. And then you hear the banging, and I'm like, aha! And now we're back to the movie.
Yeah.
When he takes the medallion off or the locket off, and he starts like blowing on himself like he spilled hot coffee. He's like.
Well, I actually love how they set that joke up. That was a really well set up joke. Although I wish they would have done something with the whole silver thing, or, made that something bigger. But
I don't think it really needed it. There was already, I felt like there was enough going on.
I don't know. I just feel like you set something like that up. It's like that would have been a great payoff at some point. And
there's
the
some
film
stuff
does
that I
have
think
some
just exists to be a gag, and I think that's fine. In this
like
movie.
they don't do a garlic reference, but they talk about the steaks. Like, do you think he hand sanded these? These look like like these look like
the logistics of vampire hunting.
I mean, the visual of the crucifix, they have to cover it up, and I thought to myself, because they make a big deal about the fact that the camera crew has crucifixes, yet that's never called into question.
Well, I think they have crucifixes, but they might not be like directly dangling from their neck.
Yeah, it's probably like under their shirts or something.
They're prepared. Mm-hmm. Maybe they have some garlic stashed away or something. Other favorite joke. Eating the French fry.
Yeah. And
then, the chips.
And then all the chips,
So
all the blood. Blood vomit.
I'm for some reason, any prolonged vomiting scene in a movie or TV show or anything is like the funniest goddamn thing to me. Like that scene in Team America where the puppet is just throwing up and throwing up and throwing up. Mm-hmm. Like I there's nothing that will get a bigger laugh out of me. So of course, the freaking blood vomit here, I was dying.
That was great. That is a great gag. Oh, don't eat that.
And there's no way that he had that much blood before he got in there. It's just like, I'm seeing.
Yeah, it's overkill. No pun intended.
Pescetti.
It's an improbable amount of blood, and it's great.
Yeah. I did enjoy the Pescetti joke.
Yeah.
I love the callback with Stu.
Yeah.
It's like,
yes.
I
think he offered me biscotti.
This guy's offered
biscotti.
me
Every time I make spaghetti now, I have to do that in the accent to Scott.
All right, we're ready to call it?
Oh,
I think so.
I think so.
I don't really. Yeah, I don't know if there's too much of an argument I can make either way on this one.
What?
All
right.
All right, let's do it. Kent, Lobster, Lauren, do you agree with the critics on What We Do in the Shadows? Do you pass? Do you fail? Or do you maybe? Lauren.
Super pass.
That's it?
Yeah.
Oh, I can add more? Okay.
Yes.
You can say why.
Okay. This is one of my feel-good movies. It has all these horror elements that I love, and all these callbacks to other, vampire mythology, vampire movies, comedy stuff. And it's just between the visual gags, the written stuff, just the weird slice of life comedy. It's just wonderful. It's like my perfect film.
All right. Kent.
I was the one pushing to do this movie for I swear it was last summer. It was when it came out around here, saw it and said, we have to do this. It ticks all the boxes, indie, small budget, and it's awesome as hell. So, it has, oddly, a lot of throwback meaning to me, where I could point at some of these characters and go, yeah, I've seen that kind of idiot at LARP games before. Great actor at LARP games before, yes. Great character, amazing, yes. Original. And just fell in love with this movie just way too damn quick. So I'd been pushing for us to do it for a while. I know, Lauren, this was your selection when you guested last year, and we said, hey, pick a movie to do sometime in the future. And you're like, what we do in the shadows? It's like, yes! So, it's kind of like, I should have started the whole podcast with, spoiler warning, I know we're getting at least 2 passes out of this. So, it is a pass, definitely a pass for me.
All right. Lobster.
So it's a pass for me as well. No surprise, I don't think. This is exactly the kind of movie that I really, really enjoy. Anyone who I think knows me knows that this is pretty much my sense of humor to a T. And so this film, I really, really enjoyed the blending of comedy, horror, the meta references, the character stuff, the dry, sardonic humor, the bloody, moist humor. It all worked really, really well. And I watched probably about the up to the opening credits, or the credit scene, and then a little bit further, and then I took it downstairs and said to my fiance, okay, we're gonna watch this. It's and it started over from the beginning just so she could watch it too. So it's good. It's a definite pass for Arthouse of Horror. I could see in 10 years or so coming back to it as a true Arthouse classic kind of movie without the horror disclaimer.
Well, how do I do this?
Hello, listeners. It is I, Asmodeus. So, I have just been given a private screening of the film What Shadows We Do, or whatever it's called, something with shadows. It's a vampire flick. I've been asked to speak to the veracity of the film's portrayal of the vampire's life. Overall, I'd say it's close. Very close. For lesser vampires, it would make sense to get a place together in a small town where they could scrape by on the occasional conquest. I, of course, have my meals delivered. And, of course, there is much truth in the line from Deacon, vampires are sexy. Now, I don't want to say that the splashy mess is inaccurate. When Viago takes his victims, he tended to make a horrible mess, but I rather think that was simply his own incompetence. It is not the standard for vampires. Another thing, why were they so messy? Always skewering your victim and leaving buckets everywhere serves no one. A nip and a suck and a band-aid. There you are. They live to be fed upon another day. I know some gluttonous vampires do not care for leftovers, but they don't tend to last that long, those vampires. Oh, speaking of messes, yes, the eating of the chip. Orally expelling any stomach contents is fairly accurate. It's really worth it, really. That is not to say a vampire would never eat anything, just that it happens oh so rarely. Overall, I'd say it is definitely worth watching. If I were to give it a rating, I would say it is definitely pass. Go, enjoy, have an excellent time watching a movie about vampires. It's fun. Oh, also, the werewolves stink. That's real. That's real talk. You should know. Well, I think that just about wraps up my thoughts. Thank you, listeners, and good night.
There's definitely a lot of great stuff about this film. Some of the jokes are really good. I really love the costumes. That's something that I didn't bring up just yet, but the costumes are really well done. I think that it sets up the film so well. And there's a practical use for the costumes as well. So I got to give it to the costumes. Quite honestly, I'm surprised that this didn't get any kind of nods from the Academy in regards to costumes, because I thought that they were just well done. That said, this feels a lot like a pilot. This is something that just couldn't work for me. I was like, we started off as Christopher Guest, and if it would have kept that vibe of this Christopher Guest, Spinal Tap, Best of Show, I probably would be responding to it a lot more. But it just kind of devolved into into kind of this real world type of reality TV, but it doesn't do much with that. I mean, the jokes are good, and I'm not going to hate on the film because of the things that I really any kind of things that I project on the film or what I wanted for the film. But for the film itself, it's one of those things like I can enjoy it, and I can enjoy it, it's just kind of like in the background, but it's not something that I just engage in very well. So this is something that I can definitely understand why people enjoy, and I can definitely understand why we're getting a TV show from it, and maybe even a good TV show from it. But for the movie itself, it's not something that I just run out and just get excited about, and I'm not going to be telling me, oh my God, you got to see this movie, when there are other horror comedies out there that just do this a whole lot better, in my opinion. But I'll give it a maybe, because it's something that I can enjoy, and that I can definitely see why people get into it. I can definitely see why all three of you enjoy it as much as you do. I can't follow you down this road. Sorry. So you're gonna burn me at the stake now?
We might
Not
send.
quite, but I want to know what horror comedies.
I think what we're going to do is we're going to all walk around you in a circle.
Yes.
And say,
Shame.
shame.
All right. Well, you'll get a chance to light the pitchforks and the torches next week when we have ourselves another monster to talk about, and we're going to be talking about that monster in 2 movies. So that's going to be exciting.
The Monster's Bride.
Yes. Lobster, you want to talk about what we're doing
so
next
we
week?
are, at my insistence, doing some classic Universal horror with Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein. We're doing a twofer. This is something that we did. We've done double features before. We did Superman and Batman. We did Terminator 1 and Terminator 2. This is a really fun, I think, combo and a good way to get a taste of those movies.
All right. Lauren, thank you so much for joining us for this particular episode. Do you want to go ahead and bring up anything that you're working on, or where you can be found on the internet?
For a complete list of all the things that I'm working on and where I can be found, my website is at lawofalltrades.wordpress.com. That's LAW of all trades. I'm on Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. pretty much every week talking about Marvel. I'm a regular voice on Friend of the Family, which is, a nice little horror comedy of our own here on the Gonna Geek Network. And I've also started writing on it recently. There's a couple of Dark Files episodes that we did that I'm really, really proud of. If they're super dark and horrible, I probably have something to do with them. I also, and I'm very proud of this, am having a poem published soon. So if you like poetry, you might want to check that out. It's going to be on eyetothetelescope.com on October 15th. And let me think, what else? I am currently working on an audiobook, which should be out at the end of the month. So if you like sci-fi erotica, look up The Caverns of Mars by D.B. Drew, and it should be on audible.com in early November.
Rock on. All right, well,
you
gentlemen,
can take that in your coffin with you.
Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, lady, thank you for joining me for this wonderful discussion about this film that maybe I'm not the biggest fan of, but it was a great conversation all the same. Any last words?
Pescetti.
Pescetti. It's always good to have a sandwich that nobody has had sexual relations with.
We're vampires. We don't put towels down.
Yeah.
Some cops could show up, and possibly even some Christians, which is totally the last
Thing
thing.
we
The last
need.
thing we need.
Make sure you've got smoke detectors in every room.
Safety first.
Yes.
All right, with that, this is the MovieDude
And
Eric.
this is Kent.
This is John Lobster.
And this is Lauren.
And Fiend.
Please leave us a positive review on iTunes.
Music by Kevin MacLeod.
Legends Podcast is not affiliated with any other entity. The opinions stated in this podcast are strictly personal and do not represent the view of its sponsor or any other person or entity. No infringement is intended.